Have you ever opened your eyes in the morning, looked at the ceiling, and felt heavier than when you went to bed? Have you ever slept for a full 8 hours, yet woke up feeling like you had just run a marathon through deep mud? It is a terrifying feeling. You are physically awake, but your mind is still trapped in a thick, gray fog. You feel a spike of anxiety the moment sunlight hits your face. You dread the day before it has even begun. You have tried everything. You bought the expensive ergonomic mattress. You take the melatonin. You drink the chamomile tea. You force yourself to go to bed at 10 p.m. And yet, every morning, the result is the same: exhaustion. You assume your body is broken. You assume you're just getting old. But what if I told you that your problem has nothing to do with your bed, and everything to do with what you bring into it? This is the story of Julian, a man who had everything the world tells us to want, until he realized he had nothing because he had forgotten how to rest. Julian was what you would call a titan of industry. He was a CEO, a visionary, a man who moved mountains with a single email. From the outside, his life was a masterpiece of efficiency. He wore tailored suits, drove a car that cost more than most houses, and commanded the respect of hundreds. But on the inside, Julian was a ghost. His day didn't end when he left the office. In fact, his workday never ended. He would come home to his penthouse, the city lights shimmering below him like a sea of diamonds, but he couldn't see the beauty. He was too busy replying to messages at dinner. He would brush his teeth with his phone balanced on the sink, scrolling through news feeds that made his blood pressure spike. And when he finally laid down in his king-sized bed, surrounded by blackout curtains and silence, he was not alone. In the dark, the board meeting from 3 hours ago replayed in his mind. The email he needed to send tomorrow morning sat on his chest like a granite stone. The argument he had with a supplier echoed in his ears. He would sleep. Oh yes, his body would shut down eventually, but his mind was running a night shift. He would wake up at 6 a.m. to the sound of his alarm, and his heart would immediately hammer against his ribs. He felt nauseous. His limbs felt like lead. Julian tried to fix it with money. He hired sleep coaches. He went to high-end wellness retreats where they hooked him up to machines and told him his sleep cycles were optimized. He took supplements that promised the deep sleep of a hibernating bear. Nothing changed. The fog grew thicker. The exhaustion began to seep into his bones. The breaking point came on a Tuesday. Julian was in the middle of the most important negotiation of the year. The room was silent. 20 people were looking at him, waiting for the final figure. Julian opened his mouth to speak, and nothing came out. His brain had simply stopped. It was white noise, a static hum. He looked at the papers in front of him, and the numbers looked like alien hieroglyphs. The room began to spin. The air felt thin, like he was breathing through a straw. He collapsed. When he woke up in the hospital, the doctors ran every test imaginable: heart, blood, brain scans. The doctor, a young man with tired eyes, looked at Julian and said, "Physically, you are fine, Julian, but your cortisol levels are off the charts. You are suffering from extreme burnout. You need rest." Rest? Julian laughed, a dry, bitter sound. I sleep 8 hours a night. You sleep, the doctor said quietly, but you do not rest. Desperate, Julian did something radical. He took a leave of absence. He turned off his phone, a terrifying act that felt like cutting off a limb, and he traveled. He didn't go to a resort. He went to a remote monastery high in the mountains, a place he had read about in a dusty book years ago. A place where they claimed to understand the architecture of the human soul. The silence of the mountain was deafening. There was no internet, no traffic, just the wind and the sound of bells. He met the abbot, an old monk named Kalo. Kalo was small, with skin like wrinkled parchment, but his eyes were sharp and clear as a mountain stream. Julian poured out his frustrations. "I need you to teach me how to sleep," Julian demanded, his voice shaking. "I have the discipline. I will wake up whenever you say. I will eat whatever you give me. Just fix me." Kalo smiled gently. "We will not teach you how to sleep, Julian. You already know how to do that. A dog knows how to sleep. A baby knows how to sleep. Then what is wrong with me?" Julian asked. "You do not need more sleep," the monk said, his voice dropping to a whisper. "You need less weight." The next morning, Kalo took Julian to the courtyard. He handed Julian a simple ceramic cup filled with water. "Hold this," Kalo said. "Stretch out your arm and hold it." Julian scoffed. He was a man who lifted weights at the gym. A cup of water was nothing. He held it out, his arm straight. "How heavy is this cup?" Kalo asked. "It weighs nothing," Julian replied. "A few ounces." "We shall see," said the monk. Minutes passed. Julian stood there, looking at the mountains. The cup was light. 10 minutes passed. Julian's shoulder began to ache slightly. 20 minutes passed. The ache turned into a throb. 30 minutes passed. The cup felt like it weighed 5 pounds. His arm began to tremble. His muscles were screaming. The pain radiated down his neck. "It is heavy now, is it not?" Kalo asked softly. "Yes," Julian gritted out, sweat forming on his brow. "Put it down?" "Not yet," Kalo said. "Tell me, Julian, did the weight of the water change? Did I add more water to the cup?" "No," Julian groaned. "Then why is it hurting you?" Because I have been holding it for too long," Julian shouted. "Exactly," Kalo said. "Put it down." Julian dropped his arm. The water spilled onto the stone. The relief was instant. The blood rushed back. The pain vanished. Kalo looked Julian in the eye. "Your worries, your emails, your arguments, your ambitions, they are the glass of water. If you hold them for a minute, it is no problem. If you hold them for an hour, you will feel an ache. But you hold them all day. And then you take the cup into your bed and hold it all night. You think you're resting because you're lying down," the monk continued. "But your mind is still clutching the glass, fearful that if you drop it, the water will spill. And by morning, you are paralyzed." That night, Kalo taught Julian the mental emptying ritual. It was the ancient practice of separating the day from the night. "The bedroom is a temple," Kalo instructed. "You do not wear muddy shoes into a temple. and you do not bring the mud of your day into your sleep. He made Julian sit by the window an hour before bed. He gave him a piece of paper. "Write down everything," Kalo said. "Every unfinished task, every worry, every anger. Put it on the paper. The paper will hold it for you." "You do not need to hold it," Julian wrote. He wrote about the merger. He wrote about his loneliness. He wrote about his fear of failure. "Now," Kalo said, "fold the paper. Place it in this wooden box by the door. Tell yourself, it is safe here. I will pick it up tomorrow, but for now I put it down." Julian felt silly at first, but he did it. He placed the paper in the box. He visualized his grip loosening on the glass of water. He went to his cot. For the first time in 10 years, his mind was not racing. He had given his mind permission to go off duty. He had formally closed the shop. He closed his eyes. When he opened them, sunlight was streaming across the floor. He sat up. He checked his body for the familiar ache, the dread, the fog. It wasn't there. His mind was clear. His limbs felt light. He felt charged. He looked at his hands. They weren't shaking. He had slept for 7 hours, but for the first time, he had actually rested. Julian returned to the city 2 weeks later. The chaos of his life was still there. The stock market was still volatile. The emails still poured in. But Julian was different. His colleagues noticed it immediately. He moved slower, but he accomplished more. He didn't react to every crisis with panic. He responded with clarity. When he walked into his apartment at night, he performed his ritual. He wrote down the wars of the day. He put them in a box in the hallway. He never took his phone into the bedroom. He realized that the alarm clock was no longer a siren warning him of battle. It was simply a reminder that it was time to be awake. My friend, you are just like Julian. You go to bed, but you do not rest. You lie in the dark, but your mind is running marathons, solving problems that cannot be solved at 2 a.m. We talk about sleep debt, the idea that you owe your body hours of sleep. But the real killer is mental debt. When you carry the stress of today into the sanctuary of tonight, your brain never enters the deep, restorative states of recovery. It stays in high alert, guarding the glass of water you refuse to put down. That is why you wake up tired. You have been working all night, so here is your challenge for tonight. Do not just watch this video and scroll to the next one. Before you enter your bedroom, take a physical piece of paper and a pen. Write down the 3 things that are weighing heaviest on your mind. The uncompleted task, the bill you have to pay, the awkward conversation. Write them down, fold the paper, and say to yourself, I am putting this down. It will be there tomorrow, but tonight I am free. If you are ready to stop sleeping and start resting, hit the like button as your contract with yourself, and comment down below with the words, I am putting it down. Sleep is not just a biological function. It is a spiritual act of trust. Trust that the world will spin without you for 8 hours. Put down the glass. Good night.